So, ladies and gentlemen, the six-sided ring has conquered the Facebook poll. Yes, Six Sides is going to return to TNA Impact Wrestling. It beat the four-sided ring, and it sounds like it was a pretty easy victory. So what does this mean for TNA? I mean, is this a long-term thing? Are they going to move back permanently to the six-sided ring? Or is this just for their up-and-coming Manhattan shows? It's not quite confirmed yet what they're actually going to do. But I think it's good that the Six Sides is coming back because it was always their USP, it was always their unique selling point, and they completely lost it when Hulk Hogan came into the company. Now, the only criticism that I have of this decision is it's all a bit too late. I mean, they could have done this ages ago. I mean, Hulk Hogan walked away a bit before lockdown. That's quite a long time ago, and they really could have filtered this into those storylines. I mean, with Hulk coming in to TNA, he was adamant that he didn't believe in a six-sided ring. He always thought that wrestling should be in a traditional four sides, so he took it away. Then with his departure, why didn't TNA just make the decision to bring it back then? And I mean, at the time, they weren't in that bad a shape. They were on a good run, they were moving towards lockdown, a big pay-per-view which was going in the right direction until it actually happened. I mean, it just seems absolutely bizarre that they've taken so long to make this decision, almost as such maybe a bit desperate. I mean, it's like maybe the last gasp, a bit of desperation, a bit of a plea for help from the fans. You know, what can we do to make you happy? Because nothing is making you happy. So why not just bring back the six-sided ring? We've done that for you, so come back and be fans of our company. It feels like that. And that's kind of annoying because let's go around about lockdown time. They had Samoa Joe in the position where he could have picked up the belt. He was going in against Magnus, perfectly set up, good storyline through and through to build up to lockdown. And then for me, that is where TNA sort of fell apart. Because as opposed to actually producing a good outcome from that event, they had all the garbage with Abyss interfering. It was terrible. But they really could have done something perfect there. They could have had Samoa Joe pick up the belt. He could have come out the next night on Impact, and he could have been standing in a six-sided ring. And he could have said, look, I'm going to rein in the changes here. I'm the champion. I'm calling the shots. And the first thing that I'm going to do is bring back what made TNA great. And that's the six-sided ring. What made TNA unique? And it would have been perfect because Joe would have been the sort of guy who could have done that because he's one of the sort of TNA originals. He's been there for a long time. He would have been a good guy to do it. Even when AJ Styles became champion, they could have done it. I mean, AJ Styles was meant to be that person for change, the guy that was going to, you know, fight against Dixie Carter. You know, he took the belt away. Why couldn't he been the guy to bring back the six-sided ring? Even more so, bring it to MVP when MVP walked through the door. You know, he was like the director of operations. So why didn't he make that decision? There were so many chances for TNA to filter in the six-sided ring into a storyline, but instead they go through social media and a Facebook poll. Okay, in a day and age where, you know, fans don't really get that much of a say and it ultimately leaves us very disappointed. You know, WWE do their polling votes every now and again, but they're always dodgy. We all know there's some sort of fix going on there because it always seems to be the same old outcomes. You know, but this was an obvious one to put to the fans because the fans were just going to say, yeah, bring back the six sides. We don't know why you took it away in the first place. Now, it is a bit of controversy bringing it back as well, because you've got to look at the flip side. You've got to look at the other side of things in terms of the wrestlers. And a lot of wrestlers have been outspoken about how hard-hitting the six-sided ring is on the body, and that it is a very difficult ring to perform in constantly, night after night. Now, the likes of AJ Styles has talked about this before in previous interviews. Austin Aries, around about now when the vote was underway, he mentioned that he voted for four sides because on the body it takes less of a toll than it does a six-sided ring. And you've got to agree and you've got to think, well, yeah, these guys want to make their careers last as long as possible. And if a six-sided ring does that much damage, then they're going to vote for the alternative. Gail Kim, a diva, who actually decided to put that out there, a knockout. She was the same. She agreed with Austin Aries. So there's quite a few big names out there that have put across that, albeit that the six-sided ring is very unique in terms of wrestling. It's not exactly the best for the wrestler. And the only question that I'd have here as well, because I actually think, look, it's a good concept and it's different to WWE, and that was the whole point of it in the first place. Okay, it's a bit more hard-hitting, yes, and I completely appreciate that from the wrestler's side of view, but from a fan, I prefer it because it's unique. But there's another issue here. TNA don't have those guys anymore to make the six-sided ring what it was, because the six-sided ring was great for the X division, and TNA doesn't have much of an X division anymore. They completely obliterated it with its demise. It's just been terrible the way that they have, crapped all over the X division. I mean, we've got Sanada, who I think is going back to Japan soon. He's not even interested as the champion. In terms of an actual division, there isn't one. So it's kind of annoying and it's kind of stupid that they've let it get to that state, and then they're going to bring back something that's unique and kind of utilize the X division massively, and they haven't got anyone to do it. I mean, I can't see Bobby Lashley utilizing a six-sided ring, to be honest. I mean, let's take a look at who they've actually lost over the period of time, and you look at guys like Jay Lethal, Chris Sabin, Petey Williams, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, obviously AJ. I could go on, but these are all guys that made the six-sided ring awesome. They were flying all over the place off of the turnbuckles. Just again, like TNA, you give us something good, but you've lost so much before that. It detriments bringing this back and making this decision. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about it too much, but it's a good move from TNA to bring it back. I just wonder why it was chosen now. It's obvious that the Manhattan shows are a big deal to TNA. They're pulling out all the stops. They're bringing back guys left, right, and center. How much they're paying them, I don't know. And some of them, is it really worth it? I think they've got a bit of a deal going on with Tommy Dreamer, so they're getting some guys from his hardcore promotion. But still, I mean, a company that's supposed to be priding themselves on bringing through new and fresh talent has now decided to go against the grain and bring back old guys because it looks like they're worried that their Manhattan shows aren't going to sell out. Does it make any sense again? No. So, it's one step forward, 5 back every time. And I'm not trying to bash it here because I actually watched Slammiversary, thought it was pretty good. Kind of confused why Bobby Lashley couldn't win the belt at Slammiversary. Instead, he picks the belt up on Impact the following week, giving the belt away on a show like this as opposed to a pay-per-view. But they did that. And Bobby Lashley kind of makes sense as a champion. I'm quite happy with Bobby Lashley as a champion. He brings a lot more credibility than Showtime EY, Eric Young. As well, the fact that this newfound, triple threat, so to speak, with Kenny King, Bobby Lashley, and MVP seems to work very well. The mouthpiece MVP is exceptional on the mic. And, then you've got the Destroyer in Bobby Lashley. And then you've got the King of the Night, Kenny King, who's a little bit eccentric, a little bit out there. I like the way that this team works. You have the powerhouse, you have the eccentric, and then you have the leader in MVP. It just feels good. So that's a good foundation at the top of the company. You've got a good heel faction going on there. Now you've got to get your faces into place. And I get Eric Young, but I think that his time is kind of up. So who's that guy to take it forward? Well, it looks like Bobby Roode is going to be that guy. And that's great, because I think Bobby Roode is a perfect guy to have a feud with these. He's credible. The fans always respect him, regardless if he's a heel or a face, because you remember his side of Beer Money as well. And I've got to admit that sounds like a good a good culmination to move forward and take the company forward. A feud between Lashley and Rude. In a six-sided ring as well, which everybody says is TNA's USP. Fantastic. So things are moving in the right direction. I just question why it's taken so long to get this far. But I'm optimistic. Destination X is coming up as well. So I like Destination X as a pay-per-view. I'm not always keen on the cashing in of an X Division belt. Again, undervalues the belt just a little bit. It's like, I'll get rid of it because I want a world title shot. But if they do that right and they maybe get Aries back in the mix. I know Aries has picked up that numerous times, that option C. But for me, you got to get one of your big name players in that slot, not a Sonata. Ultimately, I'd just like someone to make the belt more credible in the X Division. That would be more fantastic for me. I'd like somebody to win that belt, have the option to cash it in and say, no, I want to make the X Division awesome again. That makes perfect sense to me. So guys, let me know via the comments box below. Six Sides is back. What do you think of it? Would you have rather them try and make a good storyline out of bringing it back, like I've said, with Samoa Joe or something like that? Or do you think, well, giving it to the fans was a good option? Do you think it's a bit too little too late from TNA in terms of they could have done this a hell of a long time ago? And are you ultimately happy that they're bringing back the six-sided ring? You might be a guy that thinks, look, like Hulk Hogan, brother, that it's traditional to keep it in a four-sided ring. Let me know via the comments box below. Either way, Hulk Hogan is going to be pissed at this decision, but I'm looking forward to seeing what total non-stop action TNA Impact Wrestling have got for us on these Manhattan shows. So until next time, please rate, comment, and subscribe. This is Delzinski, signing out.